I'm the Hoppy Ferret, and I'm here to review a beer I bought in a glass that I definitely didn't. And the beer we have today is White Tips by Siren. It's a 4.5% session white IPA. Most of you probably know what a session beer is. It's sort of something within the 3.5% to 4% range. Something that you can drink quite a few of. A white IPA is, you don't normally come across these as often, certainly not as, your garden variety American or British IPAs. A white IPA, I suppose you could describe it more like a Belgian IPA. I know that some beers do use that term. I'm not actually sure how interchangeable they are, but I would imagine that a Belgian IPA is just a white IPA. I picked this beer up when I made an order with the malt miller. I needed to get above the 60 or 65 pound threshold, and I was a few pennies short, so I picked this up as a little birthday treat. Before I pour it out, I'll read the back of the can. We mark the start of spring with White Tips, our expression of a wit beer combined with IPA levels of hops. A traditional Belgian yeast works in harmony with orange, grapefruit and lime zest, plus a healthy hop dosing, to create a balanced session IPA that is sure to pull you in wave after wave. Sounds good. This is the first Siren beer that I have had for a while. I don't really remember the last one that I had, but I do know that I do really enjoy Siren's beers, especially their seasonal releases, of which this is one. I'm going to leave a little bit in the can. Swirl that around in a little bit. Yeah, I really enjoy Siren's seasonal brews. Their coffee, I'm not sure what they call it, but they seem to do it around wintertime. Their sort of coffee and stouts. Really enjoy those. Yeah. So the beer, it's quite more pale than what you might expect an American, certainly a British IPA to be. It's got a good amount of haze. This is murky. It's not sort of chill haze or anything like that. And not sort of that, not entirely murky sort of colour that you can get after pouring yeast into a beer. This seems, very opaque. But not so much like it doesn't look as thick as a New England IPA, but it's got that sort of colour absorption. Yeah, and you can smell that Belgian yeast, and that's why I love this style so much, because I think Belgian beer is fantastic. Not as good as British beer, of course, but it gets there. I really do love Belgian beer, and a lot of their expression comes down to the yeast that is used, and there aren't too many beer styles, I would say, that IPA-wise, I suppose, that focuses so much on the yeast. Like New England IPA does a bit, but your normal, as I said, garden variety IPA, it's like American SO5 yeast, and it is great, it does the job, but it gives another thing to look at or consider when you are drinking these beers. Yes, it's an IPA, it's got a lot of hops, and I'll get onto the hops shortly, but the first thing that jumps out to you is this yeast. It's the Belgian, that Belgian kind of slight coriander, slight, what's that? Yeah, orange peel. And it works nicely with hops as well. Orange is a very predominant aroma and flavour in IPAs, and so the Belgian yeast works very well with that. And some nice malt there as well. As for the grapefruit, yeah, I can see it. There's some creaminess and the lime as well. It does sort of make me wonder if there's Sabro in this, but I don't know if it's just because I said it now that there's a little bit of coconut. There's definitely the creaminess, which probably explains the colour of the beer as well. Before I pour the yeast in, let's see what this gives on the taste. Cheers. Wow. Has a slight sourness then sweetness to it. And not sourness in a bad way, like it doesn't taste off. But yeah, it's a really nice initial flavour that you get there. It's sort of quite limey. Limey and lemony. The first thing I thought of was lemon. A lot more of that orange and that wit characteristic comes through. No doubt this will have wheat in it. That's what I was picking up on the malt, yeah. Very wheaty. And again, that would explain the haze. Yeah, really lemony, really wheaty. I didn't get... Yeah, and the orange, well, the orange and then the grapefruit, and then it sort of goes into like a little bit of black pepper and really sort of sticks in the mouth. The carbonation is beautiful, it lingers enough, it sort of makes it pop around and really adds to that pepper flavour that I just mentioned. Let's pour in the rest of the beer, give it a little swirl around, get some of that yeast, hopefully. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's definitely some yeast in there. Side note, this little placemat that I'm using, or will use, it's from Tops Tiles and it's called Siren. So we have a siren on a siren, which is wonderful, and as is this beer. It has a bit more orange to it, I would say, now that the yeast is poured in. I suppose it adds a bit more darkness to it. And that wit characteristic punches you even more. The orange becomes a bit juicier. Before it was very sort of pithy orange peel that you would kind of expect in like a West Coast IPA. But after pouring in the yeast, it's a lot juicier. That's really nice. And this is why I love pouring the yeast in, leaving a little bit in the can, or the bottle, having a taste, nursing the beer, for a little bit, and then pouring that yeast in and seeing how the beer changes. And with Belgian beers, they are a perfect way to do that and sort of learn a little bit more about what yeast contributes to the beer, because with the whole IPA movement within craft beer, I think so much attention turned to hops. And I'm not saying that people don't care about yeast, or they never cared about the yeast, or never cared about malt. They did, and they do, and they always will. But having something that isn't so, in a hop-forward style, having something that isn't just concentrating on the hops makes it a really exciting and fun beer to try. Yeah, lime's still there. Grapefruit. Yeah, pick it up now. It's more sort of like as like the top layer is loads of juicy orange, and then like the tip of the white tip is grapefruit and some of that wheat. And you can tell it's 4%, 4.5%. Got there eventually. Take the medium. There is a slight, I wouldn't go so far to say it's thinness, but I think with Belgian beers I'm quite used to, 5% minimum, but sort of 6, 7, 8, all the way up to the, silly numbers that you can get up to. And so I wouldn't say it falls flat. If this was a, pure Belgian beer, then it would be kind of a little bit. But I think the hops give it enough character for you not to dwell on how thick the body is or isn't. And as I said, it's not a thin beer by any imagination. The carbonation really helps with that fact. It's gentle, it dances on your tongue, kisses like the inside of your cheeks, and it adds that really nice popping flavour with the pepper, like I said. But I think when you have a thin beer that's too carbonated, it's not a great beer. And I'm thinking of like the big macro lagers. You get that a lot. This is not overly carbonated. The bubbles still chase the head up the glass though. It's a good level of carbonation. I'm going to give this a rating. Some bubblegum candy floss as well. That's nice. Yeah. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. That bubblegum and has really sort of swayed me. I was kind of like leaning more, 6. But yeah, that's a really nice flavour that's just sort of jumped out at me. I'm gonna go enjoy this. Cheers.